Maybe this is the purpose that you have. And I look at Gilgamesh, who's like the all-time winner of people who are remembered. I mean, it's 5,000 years later, and we know his boyfriend's first name. You know, that's pretty damn good. But a lot of people wig out about that, saying, okay, 5,000 years as compared to an eternity. We want an eternity, damn it. 5,000 years of being remembered isn't good enough. And I have a problem with relating to that. And then when I start looking at it, this is when I looked at all of the things that Thunder had mentioned, all of the intricate laws, and I imagine that these are all constructed. It's just like a matrix. I mean, this was all a pre-programmed illusion. This is a video game. The structure of our reality. There could be an intelligent designer behind it, but when I look at the insignificance of ourselves on this tiny shell of an Earth, from which we cannot escape, and realize that our planet, with all our radio waves going at full blast for decades, will still be unheard centuries beyond our extinction. This is where I start to wonder, how could there possibly be a purpose behind it? We are incidental at best, and I feel that other civilizations, were they to exist, would never know of us.
Jack, do you want to respond to that before I bring in Sophia?
No, I'm interested by, it's interesting how Aaron Ra expresses this, because he talks about how, this idea of our insignificance, when to me, he's obviously a distance from a certain perspective where he's trying to, I don't see our,
may I express his argument in a different way, and the words that I would use, is that I personally find it an extraordinary degree of arrogance of mankind to assume that they have some divine position in the world. When you look at the universe, when you look at how small our little planet is and how massive the entire universe is, it just, for anyone to think that this is God's divine plan and we're special, to me is absolute madness. And that's, I don't know,
So would you consider Thunderfoot's position absolute madness as well?
I don't want to speak on Thunderfoot's part. Are you suggesting?
Hold on.
No, let me explain. Are you suggesting that our tiny little planet in our solar system, which is in a pretty insignificant galaxy, which is one of billions, we are supposed to feel special?
Well, I'm just interested because you made a comment about how people who believe that there's a God and that we have sort of a significance, that's absolute madness. But that's...
I said it was arrogant.
Okay, it's arrogant. But I don't see how Thunderfoot's position is any less arrogant in what it is that he asserts. And so I'm wondering how does that you distinguish between him saying that the order caused by naturalistic laws and how we live in a complicated system, and that a pattern of thought is such and such a case, such that if we take this objective perspective of which he has defined for himself, you don't think that him creating his system as he has is any more arrogant than people believing in a system that evokes?
No, I don't. I think his is perfectly acceptable.
How is his more justified?
Yours is arrogant because you have assumed that you are in some way special, and I don't think that we are special. And that's
since you guys are arguing about how to clarify the argument that I made, allow me the opportunity to do so myself. People in the board said that, my opinion is irrelevant, but of course we're only talking about opinions here today. And that's all that this can be. So there's not any hard science behind it, the purpose in life. It's no matter how you look at it. While we're talking about presuppositions, you have to remember that there was once upon a time when we had no idea about other galaxies or other planets, where the Earth was it. It was a plane. We didn't even realize the significance of its sphericity. It was seemingly eternal, this world that we lived on once upon a time. So it was easy to imagine then how we might have been more important than we are now. And I understand Jack's position on Thunderfoot's presuppositions. I get that. Okay, and I don't necessarily share that. I understand, more the position that Jack is trying to come from. But as I trace back and I start looking at other worlds, other solar systems, other galaxies, it is impossible for me to relate all of this back to what the Bible was saying when the Bible says that the earth existed before everything else in the universe by 4 days. It took 4 days to get this world ready and one sneeze to produce every other galaxy. That to me is the height of arrogance, that to assume that the galaxy, that the universe itself, all of this was created as a terror for us.
Sophia.
All right, I just want to backtrack a little bit to say that I don't think that because the universe is going to end eventually and that our species probably has a finite existence, that we shouldn't pursue science or knowledge. And that, to be honest, I mean, look, I study ichneumonids, and the Earth eventually is going to be either completely destroyed or drastically different than what it is now.
For those who don't know Latin, Sophie, what are ichneumonids?
Ichneumonids? The parasites.
Let's try and stay on topic because the time is going on. So go on.
Well, either way, chances are that they're going to be destroyed along with the Earth. So ultimately, all of the knowledge I gain is going to be, in the long run, futile. However, in the short term, there could be, what I'm trying to say is that there are proximate causes, or proximate meaning, and ultimate meaning. Proximately, yeah, what we do on this planet can have and make a difference in the short term. But over the long term, there isn't, the universe is more than likely going to end. And Thunderfoot, you were saying that, oh, well, we don't know that for sure. But at what point do we just start making assumptions? And that, you know, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that the universe, all data that we have is indicating that it will end at some point. So why would we decide that it's not going to out of convenience?
Jack. And can I just say, Jack, I think we're going to have to wrap this up in about 5 minutes. So, I don't mean to be discourteous, but it's going to be the last few comments now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I do appreciate it. I don't think I've watched Sophia. Does she have a YouTube channel? I like what she said.
Oh, she doesn't do it. I'll send you a link, don't worry.
Thank you. Aaron, you mentioned this height of arrogance, but even saying that, you're making a value statement, you're making an assertion of judgment. And I think in some ways this does get down to this heart of the question of what is the significance of our existence. And when you make a value judgment in terms of what constitutes arrogance or this being the height of arrogance, on what grounds do you justify such an assertion? And that grounds necessarily has to be a philosophical one, because it's not a scientific one. Because science itself does not speak of value and worth, of the meaning and of